Hello tech enthusiasts, and welcome to yet another tutorial on Next Tech Gem. Today we are diving into the world of web development with Flask, a Python micro framework for building web applications. In this video, I will explain what Flask is and guide you through how to set it up on your computer. Whether you are new to Flask or looking to refresh your skill, I've got you covered. So, if you are ready to embark on this Flask journey, do not forget to hit the subscribe button and let's get started.
What is Flask and why do we need Flask? Flask is a lightweight and easy to use web framework for Python. In simple terms, it helps you build web applications by providing tools and structure for handling web requests and responses. With Flask, you can create websites, web services, and more, making it easier to develop and deploy web-based projects using Python. So it's really a great choice for beginners and small to medium-sized web applications. Now there are so many advantages of using Flask. First is the simplicity. Flask makes it easy to learn and use, making it a great choice for beginners and small projects. It's also a lightweight framework, so you can add only the components you need, keeping your application efficient and fast. Flask is also flexible. You have the freedom to choose libraries and tools to work with, giving you more control over your project. Flask is widely used. Flask is popular in Python community, so you can find plenty of resources, documentation, and community support. Flask is also scalable, suitable for small projects, and can also handle larger applications with proper design and extensions. Flask is also extensible, so you can easily add extensions for tasks like authentication, database integration, and more, making it adaptable to your needs. Microservices. Flask is ideal for building microservices due to its simplicity and ability to handle specific tasks efficiently. So, in a nutshell, Flask's simplicity, flexibility, and lightweight nature make it a great choice for web development, especially when you want to start small and build up as your project grows. So, installing Flask is relatively straightforward. So the first step is to make sure that you have Python installed on your system. If not, you can download and install Python from the official website. So I'm going to fire up my browser and then I'm going to go to Python. I can just simply type Python on the search bar. And then the first result will take me to the official website of Python, so which is python.org. Then here I will navigate to downloads and then I will download the latest version, and this will depend on the operating system you are using. So if you are using Linux, it's going to give you a Linux version, and if you are using Mac OS, it's going to give you a Mac OS version. So I'm going to download for Windows because I'm currently on Windows operating system. So just click on the button and then you can see add a duplicate. So I already have it, so I'm just going to download it and then show you how to install it. But if you have already installed it, you have to skip this step. So now it's just 24 point something MB, so I'm going to start download. Now once your download is finished, so I'm going to open the file, and here you can see upgrade to Python. So I can choose to upgrade, and that is because I already have Python installed on my computer. But if this is your first time installing Python, you are going to see add Python to path. So make sure you add Python to path and then proceed on the installation. Now the setup was successful. So the next step is to install Flask. So if I type Flask on the search bar, and then here I have the welcome to Flask documentation. So I'll just click on the installation. And one reason I recommend using the documentation, Flask documentation, is because if anything changes in future, you can always come back to the documentation and figure it out yourself. So you can see we recommend using the latest version of Python, which we have done that, and Flask support Python 3.8 and newer. So here we have some dependencies that will be installed with Flask. So it says these distributions will be installed automatically when installing Flask. So for now, we'll just proceed with installation. We are going to create a folder, and then in that folder we are going to create a virtual environment. Now a virtual environment is not required, but it's a good practice to create a virtual environment to isolate your Flask project dependencies. So if you are using Mac OS or Linux, so you're going to follow these instructions, but since I'm using Windows, I'm going to follow this. So we are going to make a directory. So that's what mkdir stands for, make directory, and then we'll change to that directory. So that's what cd stands for. And after that, we are going to create a virtual environment. So I'm on Windows 11, so I'm just going to hit on the search bar, and here I have terminal. So you can use command prompt. So I'm going to use terminal, and once that opens up, currently this is my working directory. So I want to cd to desktop. So I want to create this working directory on my desktop. So you can create it wherever you want it. So since I'm not on the desktop, I'm going to cd to desktop. So right now I'm on desktop, so you can ls. So you can see these are the things I have on my desktop. So if I go to my folder, so you can see on desktop, these are the things I have on my desktop. So I'm just going to clear this. Now I'm on my desktop. So the next thing, I'm going to make a working directory. So I will say mkdir, and this will make a directory, and let's call this web app. So web app, so you can call it whatever you want. So if I hit enter, so you can see a web app has been created. So next thing is I want to go into this web app. So I want to cd or change directory into the web app. So I'm going to say cd to web app. So you can see my path has changed. We were here, and now my path has changed to the web app. So likewise, if I go to my desktop, so I'm going to see a web app. So you can see that. So I'm going to open it. So you can see it's empty. So we just created it. So let's go to the next step. So we are done with this. Oh, we still have to create a virtual environment. So I'm just going to copy this and then go to my terminal and then paste this. I'm going to remove the dot because I don't need it. So what is going to happen is Python is going to help us create a virtual environment in a folder called venv. So it's going to create a virtual environment in a folder called venv. So I'll hit enter and wait for the execution to finish. Now my virtual environment has been created in the folder venv. So let's verify if we have such folder, and here we go. So you can see on the web app working directory, we have a folder venv, and this is where our virtual environment has been stored. Okay, so let's move over to the next step. So after that, we need to activate the virtual environment. So you need to run or activate the virtual environment based on your corresponding operating system. So like I said earlier, if you're using Mac OS, you're going to be using this, but since I'm using Windows, this is what I'm expected to do. So venv script and activate. So let's go back. So I will say venv. So inside the folder venv, I want to go into the scripts just like this. So if I go to the venv, so you can see we have a script folder. So and then inside the script folder, I want to activate. So just like this. So if I hit enter, and here we go. So once you see the green, you know that it has been activated. So the next step after activating our virtual environment is to install Flask. So pip install Flask. So we are going to use Python package manager to install Flask. So pip install Flask and wait for the execution to finish. And here we go. So Flask has been successfully installed. So now the next thing we are going to do is we are going to fire up one of our code editor. So you can use Visual Studio Code, any other code editor of your choice, but for this demonstration I'm going to use Sublime. So go to File, and then I'll go to Open Folder. Then I'm going to navigate to my desktop, and then I'm going to locate my working directory, so which is web app. So select it and you have it open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and create a new file. So this file, I can call it app, or I can call it server dot. So let's just call it server.py. So make sure you end it with py. So this is what makes it a Python file. I'll hit enter. So now that I have my file created, so let's go back to the documentation. So Flask is now installed. Now check out the quick start. So click on the quick start, and here it says a minimal Flask application looks like this. So I'll just simply copy this, and then I'll go to my code editor, and then I'm going to paste this. So now let's go through this line by line. So we have the first line, which imports the Flask class from the Flask framework. So we have the Flask class coming from the Flask framework, and this class is used to create Flask web applications. So this is the first thing we have to do. Next, on the line 3, we created an instance of the Flask class. So we created an instance, Flask bracket open __ name _ bracket close, and then we store this instance in a variable called app. So the _ name _ is an argument and is a special Python variable that represents the current module's name. So it's used by Flask to determine the root path for our application. And then next we have the @app.route, and this is simply a Python decorator. It tells Flask that the following function, which is hello world, should be executed when a user visits the URL or the root URL of your website. So in this case, the root is just this. And then, so when a user accesses the root URL of our application, this is going to return hello world. And that's it. So if I save this, and before we run this app, I'm going to say that if underscore name equal to underscore main, just like this, and then we want the app run, and we're going to set the debug equal to true, and then save this. With this modification, your Flask application is set to run in debug mode when we execute the server.py. The if underscore name underscore equal to main, what it does is that it ensures that the app run method is called whenever we run the script directly, not when we import it as a module in another script. So whenever we run this directly, server.py, this is going to run in a debug mode. Make sure that you have saved the file. So let's go back to our terminal. We can now simply say Python and then the name of our file, so which is server.py. So if I hit enter, and here we go. So here it says this is a development server, and you can see the debug mode is on, and here we have running on this. So if I copy this and then I'll go to my terminal and then paste this, hit enter, and here we go, hello world. So for any reason I make any modification, so let's say return hello, thank you for installing me. So if I save that, and now we do a refresh, and here we go, hello, thank you for installing me. And this is how simple it is to install Flask. But remember that debug mode equal to true is meant for development and testing purposes. When deploying your application to a production server, it's recommended you disable the debug mode for security reasons. So in order to understand a few more functionalities about routes in Flask, I'm going to create more routes so we can see how everything works. So I'm going to create a decorator, so app.route. So this time I'm going to create a route called services. So a single quote or double quote slash services, just like this. And then I'm going to define a function for this route. I'm going to call this services too, and then this function is going to return something like a web developer and a programmer, so something like this. So what this means is that whenever a user visits the URL services, is going to call the function, and then the function is going to return I'm a web developer. So if I save this, and now let's go to the browser. So now I'm just going to enter slash services, so just like this. If I hit enter, and here we go, I'm a web developer and a programmer. So if we create more routes, so let's create more routes. So this time I'm just going to copy this, and then make some changes. So let's call this contact, and make sure that you change the function to contact. You don't have two functions with the same name. So contact, and then you can say you can reach me on the following numbers 080000 and so on. So if I save that, now if we go back to our browser, and this time I'm going to visit the contact URL. So contact. So if I hit enter, and here we go, you can reach me on the following numbers. So these are basic examples of how to use routes in Flask. Flask also supports dynamic routing, and dynamic routing is basically sending arguments to the Python function. So for example, so let's say I have a route app.route, and this route, so I'm going to define my URL, and this is going to be user slash, and next I'm going to create a dynamic routing. So I'm going to pass in a variable, so the greater than sign, and I'm going to call this name. So let's say name, and then I'm going to close it. So next I'm going to define a function, so def, and let's call this user. I'm going to pass this to the function as an argument, so I'm just going to say name. Next I'm just going to return hi, and then I'm going to pass in the name, so just like this. So now if I save this and then I visit the URL user and then slash, let's say John. If I hit John and enter, and then here you can see hi John. So this is basically accepting a string. So if I say Mike, if I hit enter, and here it says Mike. So by default it accepts a string. So this is the same thing as specifying the type. So we can say string and then a colon. So if I save this, this is going to give us the same result. So let's say user slash Nelson. I hit enter, and then here you have Nelson. So we can also specify this to be an integer, so int, so something like this. So if I save this, and if we try accessing Nelson, enter, and this is going to give us an error. So if we say user and then 25 and hit enter, and here we have it, hi 25. So this is how dynamic routing works in Flask. The next thing that Flask supports is templates. Now, one of the key things to know is that templates are used to separate business logic from presentation logic. This will basically increase the maintainability, extensibility, and portability of your application. So what it means is that instead of writing HTML right here, we can have a separate file for HTML, have a separate file for CSS, and then have our server.py as our logic. So in order to do that, we need to first of all import the render template. So from Flask, import Flask, and then I'm going to place a comma, and then I also want to import render template, render underscore template, just like this. Now that I have imported the render template, next I'm going to create two directories. So I'm going to right click in my root folder. I'm going to create a new folder, and this I'm going to call it template. So make sure you have the S, not template but templates. and then I'm going to create another new folder, and I'm going to call it static. So in the templates folder, we're going to have all our HTML, and then the static is going to hold our CSS, JavaScript, images, and all of that. So now in the template, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to, inside the templates folder, I'm going to create a new file, and let's call this index.html. So just like this. So in the index.html, I'm just going to bring in a basic structure of our HTML page. So we have our basic structure, so we can call this let's say Flask app. So our title, and then in the body, I'm just going to return welcome to, and say welcome to the dashboard. So something like this. So welcome to the dashboard. So if I save this, now if I go back to the server.py, so instead of this, I'm just going to comment out these lines. So instead of returning just a string, so we're going to return render template. So render template. Inside the function, I'm just going to specify the file which I want to return. So in a quote, I'm going to return the index.html. So let's save that. So if I save this, so now let's navigate to the default URL. Now if I hit enter, and here we go, welcome to the dashboard. So we made a little typo, so we can go and make adjustment to it. So if I save that, now if we refresh the browser, and here we go, so welcome to the dashboard. So we can also pass in a variable to the URL, and we can reuse this variable in the index.html. So all I need to do is I'll put a comma in the render template, and then I'm just going to say username, for example. So this is a variable, and this is going to be equal to, let's say, John, something like that. If I save the file, then in the index.html, we need to display the variable. So you can see we have the variable username, which is holding John. So how do we display this in the index.html? Since Flask uses Ginger templating engine, the Ginger templating engine provided some placeholder that we can use to display the content of a variable in Python. So we can say something like John, welcome to the dashboard. So we need to bring in the placeholder, which is 2 curly brackets, and then we close this. Then inside that, we provide the name of the variable, so username. So I'm going to put some space here. So now I'm going to save this file. So make sure the server.py is equally saved. So now let's go back and refresh, and here we go. John, welcome to the dashboard. The Ginger 2 templating engine supported by Flask also provide us an ability to write an if statement. For example, if I go back to the index.html, so I'm just going to copy this out, and then in the body, I'm going to enter a curly bracket, a percentage sign, and then a percentage sign. And this is used for conditional statements. Then I can now say if username is equal to, so let's find out the username. The username is John. So if username is equal to John, then we want to do something. So if is equal to John, we want to say John, welcome to the dashboard. So whatever is the username, welcome to the dashboard. Then we can include an else statement by equally entering the placeholder. So here I'm going to say else, and then we can do this. So this time I just want to say welcome to the dashboard, and after that we have to end the if statement. So percentage sign and then percentage sign. So here I'm going to say end if. So if I save that, now let's refresh the browser. So if we refresh it, and here you can see John, welcome to the dashboard. So let me make some changes so you can see. Let's say John, welcome to our website. So if I save that, so let's go back. So here you can see John, welcome to our website. So let's go and change the username to Mike. So let's see what we're going to have. So if I save that, now let's go back and refresh, and then here we go, welcome to the dashboard. So from the logic, we are saying that if John is actually the value in the user name variable, then say John, welcome to our website, else or otherwise say just welcome to the dashboard, and then we end our if statement. So we can also use the same method for loop and all of that. So this is a basic introduction to Flask. In future lectures, we are going to develop a much more full stack application using Flask. But before we go, I just want to recap something. So if for any reason we want to stop our server or our website, we can simply hold Ctrl C, and then this will definitely stop the server. So now if we go back and refresh the website, and here you can see it's no longer reachable. And for any reason we close our terminal and we want to start all over from scratch, or want to start our server again, all we need to do is simply open our terminal, and once you have your terminal, so you have to cd to your project directory, which is desktop. So cd to desktop, and by ls, which is going to list all the directory I have. So my directory is actually web app. So let me check for that. Web app. Okay, cool. So we have web app. Cool. So now I'm just going to clear the screen. I'm going to cd to the main directory, which I installed Flask. So web app. And here we go. Now that we are in our Flask directory, so I need to first of all activate my virtual environment, so which I stored in vmv folder. So we enter vmv and then script. So make sure the S is capital, then activate. So just like this. I hit enter, and here you can see is activated. Next, I'm going to run my file. So I'm just going to say Python followed by the name of my file, so server.py. And before you do this, make sure that you have enabled, to make sure that debugging is on. So now if we go back to the terminal and if we hit enter, and here we go, our site is up and running. So if we go back and refresh, and here we go. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
And there you have it, a solid understanding of Flask and how to set it up on your computer. Whether you're building a small app or a complex app, Flask is a fantastic choice. If you found this tutorial helpful, please do not hesitate to subscribe to my channel for more programming and web development tutorials. Remember to comment below with any questions or topics you would like me to cover in future videos. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial.